Hi everybody,
Hello.
welcome to Super Breakfast Friends Club, the show that this is.
Congratulations.
You've won the lottery of people who wanted to listen to this show.
Is that a lottery?
Yeah. But it's a lottery where everybody wins as long as they want to.
It's not like that lottery where everybody throws rocks at the one person who wins.
Is that a lottery?
It's the Shirley Jackson lottery.
I have no idea what we're referring to right now.
It's a short story.
From what?
Shirley Jackson.
Play the opening theme!
Shell such pressure for no reward. Soon turn into the flash of hound, and then will next be the treasure of someone else. Instead, but there's no one to take what's in the way, and there's no way to stay, no way to be paid to worry. Someone else is supposed to stay, just to make you on your day, try to walk away. Close this ache you hold, but the midnight the more, keep the scoreやるから。
We're in a confusing situation this time with Viewtiful Joe, because usually with an anime, we would watch the Japanese version. And you just heard the theme song from the Japanese version, because I found that much. But, we could not find the Japanese version of the show. It's, like, lost media.
It's gotta be out there somewhere.
I've been on the Viewtiful Joe Reddit, I've been on the Viewtiful Joe wiki, I've been all over the internet. It's out there somewhere. There was a DVD release, and I did find a copy of the DVD on an auction website, but it wasn't clear whether it was the Japanese or English version, and they wanted $70 for what they... No, it was like $90 for what
No way.
apparently only had 3 episodes on it, so...
3 episodes?
Yeah.
Not worth it.
No. So if there's anybody out there who has Viewtiful Joe on DVD in Japanese, or has it recorded from TV when it first aired, the internet needs it.
I mean, you.
Me, everyone. It's a service. Listen, Viewtiful Joe is so good, and I love it so much. And it's criminal. It's criminal that, like, there hasn't been a Viewtiful Joe release in, like, 15 years at least.
I don't think he's coming back.
He should come back. The reason we're doing this episode now is because this episode, if I've calculated right, should release on the 20th anniversary of the North American release of the Viewtiful Joe franchise. I think we are probably doing more for it than Capcom will.
For sure. We've acknowledged it.
Yeah. And, like, none of the games are playable on any modern systems. If you want to play Viewtiful Joe 1 or 2, or Red Hot Rumble, you have to have a GameCube or a PS2. If you want to play Viewtiful Joe Double Trouble, you have to have a DS. And there's just nothing's been done to, like, bring them to modern audiences. It sucks. Because they're
I didn't
great.
realize it was GameCube old. I thought it came out on the Wii.
No, GameCube. 2003.
Ancient.
I think the franchise was already dead by the time the Wii came along.
That's troublesome.
It's a real shame. Anyway, let's talk about the opening song that we just heard.
Do it.
What did you think of it?
I've heard it before. You sent it to me like 15 years ago.
I know, because I love this song.
I like it. It's fun.
It's called Brighter Side. It's by a Japanese band known as Saga, who I don't think were around for very long. I know I tried to look into them because I really liked their music, but I couldn't find anything about them that wasn't related to Viewtiful Joe. So
I mean, it's the perfect combination. Those are the only things we care about.
the Viewtiful Joe anime uses 3 different songs which are all by them. It uses Brighter Side. It uses a different song later on for the opening, which is called Spirit Awake. And for the end credits, it uses a song called And You. And they're all fun. They're all bops. I like them. It's literally the only songs of theirs that I've ever heard.
Is the music throughout the show all from the game?
No.
Okay.
I don't think, because we watched the dub, so I don't think the music that you heard was even from the original Japanese version.
Oh yeah, that's a thing that they do.
Yeah, because I did manage to find a compromise to not being able to watch the Japanese version. It's still not quite as good as being able to watch the Japanese version, but I discovered that the Spanish version of the show was translated directly from the Japanese and was apparently a lot more accurate. And so I went and I watched that, and I believe that it's fully accurate because there's a lot of edits made in the English version that weren't present in the Spanish one I watched. A lot of censored things and a lot of cutscenes were still there. So I think...
Why didn't you let me watch the Spanish one? It sounds way better.
You can watch the Spanish one too if you want. I just found it on YouTube.
Oh.
I didn't download it or anything. Do you want to watch the Spanish one and then record this again?
No, it's fine.
Okay. I'll send you a link to the Spanish one afterwards if you want to watch it. You can basically tell what's going on.
Wait. So it's not a translated Spanish one.
It's dubbed in Spanish.
And there's no subtitles?
And there's no subtitles.
Oh, I didn't. You probably should have led with that part.
Oh, well, yeah, no. It didn't have English subtitles. It was just a Spanish dub. I knew enough Spanish to basically tell what was happening, but...
I think you just know enough Viewtiful Joe to know what's happening.
That helped too. One thing, actually, about the theme song is that, because I did say we're using the Japanese theme song for the show here. They did use the Japanese theme song in the English version, but it's an alternate version of it, and it's shortened, because the standard Japanese opening sequence is 1 minute and 30 seconds, but the standard American one is only 1 minute. So they've cut 30 seconds off of it for the US version.
Okay.
Childhood, trying to share that pleasure. I know I will listen. It's only to the pleasure house. So you'd rather be the church of someone else. But if there's no one to take you either way, there's no reason to stay. No need to be fake. The words somewhere else is supposed to be. Just make it a brand new day. It doesn't walk away. I left you knock on the door. Don't worry about me. I won't come back until I see. Really don't let that shoot at me. I need to be a brighter side. So give me shit, I'm gonna go down the line. 이렇게 웃어주니 막하니 너 아사 아까시까지 너서봐.
What I thought was weird is that the US opening still uses the Japanese version of the song, even though the band themselves also did an English version of the song.
I did find that interesting because I know the English version. That's the one that you sent me.
Because I actually kind of prefer the English version. Like, it's full of what's the word? It's full of strange English. You know, English filtered through Japanese culture.
Yeah.
But I like that stuff, so I prefer to listen to the English version of the song.
I think it just flows a little bit better in English.
It does flow, yeah, it does flow a little bit better too, I think.
I think we'll see a brighter side.
rare win for the English version.
Yeah, it's not very often that I prefer an English version. It also helps that it is by the same band as well. They obviously knew enough English that they could perform an English version too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Virtua Fighter where it was someone else singing and they weren't as good at singing.
Yeah. He just didn't have the hot wild vision.
He didn't.
He had that knock wild vision. We've been listening to that song pretty much ad nauseum ever since that episode.
We have, yeah. We keep sending it to each other.
It's our version of a Rickroll.
I guess it's mostly just you sending it to me. So, Viewtiful Joe. Have you ever heard of it?
Never in my life.
It's a video game that came out in 2003. It was made by Capcom. It was specifically made by a team within Capcom Studio 4, who were known as Team Viewtiful. And they were later renamed Clover. That's how I always think of them. I think of it as Clover Studio. They made all of the Viewtiful Joe games. They made Okami and they made God Hand.
I need to finish Okami. That game is so nice to look at.
I need to start Okami. I was really sad about Clover closing down because for a little while there was a brief period of maybe like 3 years where Clover were making all my favorite games. They became my favorite Japanese studio, and then they went away. They burned out so fast. That star just vanished from my night sky.
The candle that burns twice as hard. Whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Clover was a studio that was formed to create, specifically to create new IP for Capcom at a time when Capcom was very sequel focused.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, the games failed to meet sales expectations. And then after a few high-profile departures from the studio, from staff members who were feeling stifled by management, it was shut down. And most of the key Clover stuff are now at Platinum Games, where they have made Bayonetta, Wonderful 101, they made Metal Gear Rising, and they made Star Fox Zero. So they're doing all right for themselves.
Yeah. But I'm still caught up on the fact that they created this little group within a group specifically to create new IPs and then put so many restrictions on them that they couldn't do their job.
I know. I know. It wasn't even just like Clover people, because there was I think it was like a 5-year period where just a ton of Capcom's highest profile developers left, all down to like creative differences with management.
Mm-hmm.
They had a huge exodus. But anyway, Viewtiful Joe was announced by Capcom as part of what they called the Capcom 5, which was 5 GameCube exclusive Capcom games designed to... It was kind of a partnership with Nintendo, because the GameCube kind of infamously didn't have a lot of third-party support. Pretty much anything on the GameCube that was worth having came from Nintendo themselves.
Yeah.
So this was a push by Capcom to show support for the GameCube and try and bring more people to that hardware with some non-Nintendo games, which unfortunately didn't pay off because most of the people who owned the GameCube were only interested in the Nintendo games. It was a real shame. That's one of the big reasons. Like, even when third-party developers did show support for the GameCube, people didn't buy the games.
Yeah, that's... The fervent fanaticism of Nintendo fans is a double-edged sword.
It really is. I don't think they realize how much it hurts Nintendo. I don't think it's been a problem with the Switch, though. I think the Switch has had really good third-party support.
Yeah, because the Switch is launched alongside a shop full of indie titles and stuff.
Yeah. And there's a ton of, like... I mean, like, we got Skyrim on the Switch. Red Dead Redemption's about to come out on the Switch. Or it might already be out, I'm not sure.
But, like, do you want to play those on a Switch?
No, I don't. But I just think it's really cool that they're there.
True. It sets a precedent, even if it's not a playable one.
Yeah, we never had those things on Nintendo before, I don't think. Actually, was Skyrim? I think Skyrim might have been on the Wii U, actually.
Was it?
I think it might have been. I can't remember. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just imagining it. Maybe I'm remembering the Switch launch and I'm applying it to the Wii U. So the other games in the Capcom 5, besides Viewtiful Joe, were Resident Evil 4, Project Number 3. No, sorry, Product Number 3.
What the heck is that?
It's a game called Product Number 3.
That tells me so much about what I'm about to consume.
It's stylized as PN03. Does that sound familiar?
No.
Okay. The other two were Killer 7 and Dead Phoenix. Of those 5, Dead Phoenix was cancelled before it was released. And aside from Product Number 3, all of the others ended up being ported to other consoles.
At least their legacy lives on.
Yeah, of their push to make 5 GameCube exclusive Capcom games, they made 1 GameCube exclusive Capcom game.
But at least they made 4 games.
Yeah, and honestly, it seems like the only reason that Product Number 3 didn't get ported to anything else is because it's the one that performed the worst of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But Killer 7 didn't do so well on release, but then became a huge cult classic. I know that basically launched Suda51's career. And Resident Evil 4, obviously, was a big Resident Evil game, so I'm kind of surprised that was ever intended to be GameCube exclusive, honestly.
Me too. Because wasn't Resident Evil on everything? Or was it just on the PlayStation?
I think it might have started out just on the PlayStation, but around the time of Resident Evil 4, they were in the process of remaking a bunch of them for the GameCube. We just got Resident Evil 0 and the one that they call R-Remake.
Okay.
The remake of the first game for the GameCube.
Yeah, I put it together.
Viewtiful Joe was created by Hideki Kamiya, who had previously directed Resident Evil 2. And he created Devil May Cry in an attempt to create Resident Evil 4.
What?
Yeah, do you know about this?
I don't.
Devil May Cry began development as Resident Evil 4.
Okay.
But then at some point during development, I guess a supervisor came to look at it, and it was Devil May Cry, and they were just like, this is not a Resident Evil game. But they basically said, you can keep making this, but we're gonna call it something else, because this isn't Resident Evil.
Now I'm just thinking about a Devil May Cry where you play as Leon instead of Dante. And vice versa.
Well, so Kamiya also created Wonderful 1 and Bayonetta, and kind of looking at that legacy, you can see that his thing is that he wants to make games that are cool, this ridiculous level of cool.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how outlandish and insane and ridiculous things get, as long as it's cool, that's fine.
The more outlandish and ridiculous things get, the cooler they get.
That's how I feel about it too, and I guess how he feels about it. But you can see that across all of these games. Devil May Cry, Wonderful 101, Bayonetta, Viewtiful Joe. They're all about insane things happening that are extremely stylish and cool.
Mm-hmm. Those boss fights alone.
Yeah. And it's great, and I love the style of it. I will play all of his games forever because they're all like this, and I love it.
Like being in the world's most ridiculous action movie.
Exactly. Kamiya is also known for blocking people on Twitter. I'd be remiss for mentioning him and not mentioning that.
Have you yourself been blocked by Kamiya?
I haven't, but I've never attempted to interact with him. I think if I did, I would get blocked. Because he'll block people for tweeting at him in English. He'll block people for asking him questions that he thinks are inane. Sometimes someone will ask him a question and he'll answer it and then end the answer with the word blocked and block them. He's great. I love him. They did a Kickstarter for the Wonderful 101 remake a few years back. And one of the stretch goals is that you could get either blocked or unblocked by Kamiya.
Would you want to get blocked? Like, you can do that for free.
I know. I don't know, maybe he doesn't do it as much anymore.
If you choose to get unblocked, if that's what you use your monkey's paw wish on, is it unconditional? Does he have to keep you unblocked forever?
Probably not. He'll probably block you the next time he sees you. Anyway, so Viewtiful Joe is a 2D beat-em-up game with platformer elements and 3D cel-shaded graphics. The team wanted to make a challenging game with stunning visuals and fluid gameplay, and I think they did that. I think they accomplished that very effectively.
I don't know anything about the gameplay, but it has a very distinct style that I could recognize anywhere.
Yeah, and I love the style of it. It's really good. The Wonderful 101 style is adjacent, but not quite the same. It's the character designs look like Viewtiful Joe characters, but it doesn't have the cel-shaded look with the stark black and white shading. Apparently the game got an updated re-release in Japan with an easier difficulty setting, because it's very hard. The game was heavily critically acclaimed, but it got modest sales. So they ported it to the PS2. And the PS2 version has Dante from Devil May Cry as a playable character, with his own storyline even.
He gets his own storyline?
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, because he actually has a connection to Alistair. Alistair is, in a way, is a character from Devil May Cry.
What?
Yeah, you encounter Alistair in Devil May Cry as a talking sword.
Cool.
And I think it is supposed to be, I think Alistair in Viewtiful Joe is supposed to be the demon that was inhabiting the sword. Like, I think that's canon.
It's not the crossover I was expecting, but I think it's the one that I wanted.
Yeah. The game got one sequel, Viewtiful Joe 2, and it got 2 spin-off games, Red Hot Rumble and Double Trouble. And then it became a dormant franchise when the key members of staff left Capcom and Clover was shut down.
And now it's dead.
And now it's dead, and it's been almost 20 years since we last heard from it.
Didn't you say Viewtiful Joe 2 ends on a cliffhanger?
Yep, Viewtiful Joe ends on a cliffhanger, and so does Double Trouble. This series ended on 2 separate cliffhangers.
Well, now is the time to sharpen your writing skills and write a fanfic.
This is one of those things, though, where it's like, if I wrote Viewtiful Joe, I would never be able to enjoy it the way I want to, because I wrote it.
Oh yeah, I get it. I don't enjoy anything I create.
Yeah, exactly. There are things I would love to write for, but Viewtiful Joe isn't one of them. Viewtiful Joe I just want to enjoy.
I want it to remain untainted.
Though, you know, if Capcom came to me and they were like, the options are either you write Viewtiful Joe or there's no Viewtiful Joe, then I'd write it. I don't know what universe this is where Capcom are coming to me.
We listened to your very good podcast, and we can tell how much you love Viewtiful Joe.
I do. I do love it. Anyway, let's start talking about the show.
Okay.
Which I love less.
Yeah.
The show aired on TV Tokyo. We've talked about TV Tokyo many times.
They show up all the dang time.
They do, because they aired Pokemon, F-Zero, and Virtua Fighter.
Man, we gotta go back to F-Zero.
Again?
Always. You know my go-tos are Donkey Kong and F-Zero.
I'm down. I like both those things.
I wanna hurt myself.
So this show started on October 2nd, 2004, almost exactly a year after the first game came out, and about a month before the sequel came out. It's kind of a loose adaptation of both. It like starts with the original game's storyline and then goes into the story of the sequel.
Didn't you say this had a pretty decent run episode-wise?
In Japan, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it makes sense that it contains the story of 2 since it ran for so long.
Yeah, so it was only one series, but it was 51 episodes. So it was animated by Group TAC, or TAC, I don't know how you pronounce it. which was a studio founded in 1968 by former Mushi Pro staff. And they closed down in 2010.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame when a studio that's been around for that long closes down. They made most of the Street Fighter anime that has ever been made. They made Nadia, Secret of Blue Water, which is something I am constantly being recommended but haven't watched. I know that Hayao Miyazaki was in some way involved in it, but I'm not sure how much. And they also made Flint the Time Detective, which I saw a little bit as a teen and enjoyed. And it was dubbed by Geneon Entertainment, who we've talked about before.
What did they do?
They did the Higurashi dub.
Oh,
So
that's something we've recently looked at.
It is. That means that they've hurt me twice. So don't have a lot of faith in Geneon handling dubs after this.
No.
It was aired on Kids WB. Did you ever watch Kids WB?
Not really. I don't think we got that channel.
Oh. Yeah, it's a Saturday morning programming block that started on the WB network and then moved to the CW network.
Oh, the CW.
We've talked about it a little bit because it's where Pokemon originally aired, I think. Or maybe Pokemon moved to it when it became popular. I can't remember.
Neither can I, because I couldn't watch Pokemon for a long time, but then I remember being able to watch it one day, and I don't remember what channel it was on.
Yeah. Of the 51 episodes that Japan got, despite Geneon claiming that the show was ranked number 1 in its time slot, only 26 of those episodes got dubbed.
Well, why?
So, from what I can figure out, it's because they stopped dubbing the show when the CW dropped Kids WB as a programming block.
Oh, okay.
They dropped Kids WB and they replaced it with the 4Kids block instead. So, Viewtiful Joe went away so that we could be watching Sonic X and Viva Pinata.
Oh, he died for our sins.
On the one hand, I'm like, man, I would rather be watching the Viewtiful Joe show than Viva Pinata. But on the other hand, I'm like, not the dub, though.
Oh, the dub. I couldn't get into the dub.
No, it's bad. In the Japanese version of the show, every episode is referred to as a reel, which is it's a plot device in the game. That's what you're collecting. You're collecting film reels.
Mm-hmm.
So this episode it's the reel of That Man is Joe. So like That Man is Joe is the title of the episode, but also within the title of the episode, we're told that this is specifically a film reel of That Man is Joe. It's a bit of a confusing concept.
Yeah, it's a little bit meta.
Yeah, but I mean, meta is pretty much what Viewtiful Joe's all about. Because it's a series about a guy who goes inside a movie and is able to fight real good because he's controlling the VFX of the movie himself. Because it's all like rewinding and zooming in and stuff.
So it's like the Nintendo controller belt from Captain N, but good.
Yeah, kinda. I just realized he doesn't actually do any of that stuff yet in this episode, does he?
No, he just does some cool fighting.
Yeah, he doesn't start using his VFX powers yet. But I know he's going to because the Japanese opening shows him using max speed and slow-mo. But the English titles drop the whole reel gimmick, probably because of how confusing it is. So the episode is just called Just a Dude Named Joe. It's written by Takaki Ishiyama, who hasn't done a lot of writing, but my god, looking at his storyboarding credits, he's worked on like everything. He's done storyboards for Pokemon, Kirby, Virtua Fighter, and F-Zero.
Wow.
And that's just among shows we've looked at in the past.
I didn't even know Virtua Fighter existed as an anime until last week, and this man has worked on it.
I know. We're into talking about the episode now. Like I said before, we just watched the dub, and I kind of glanced over a Spanish version to look for inconsistencies with the dub. So our experience with this is going to be, by default, a bad one because the dub is so bad.
Yeah.
So we open with Sylvia questioning Joe about their relationship. And immediately I'm struck by how good the art style is. Like, it's 100% accurate to the game.
Yeah, that's the best part about it.
It's like complete one-to-one. Apparently the animators were working straight from model sheets from the game. So there was like no translation for it to be lost in. They're just straight up working as though they're doing it for the game.
There's no little green Mega Man.
Yeah, exactly. There's no squinting at a broken CRT TV, trying to figure out what color Sylvia's jumpsuit is.
That's my favorite part, though.
This is not... I know, like, Japan is usually really good about keeping actors consistent across different media, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the game is voiced only in English.
That's weird.
It is weird, but it's also pretty standard for Hideki Kamiya games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think his Resident Evil games all just had English voice acting. I think Devil May Cry did as well.
I don't know why, but it makes sense for Resident Evil.
It does. Well, yeah. Most of his games seem to be set in America, so
yeah,
that's probably the reason. But so the Japanese cast are all new for the show, but it does look like most of them have gone on to play these characters in games since, in like Marvel vs. Capcom and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess I left that out. Joe has resurfaced in Marvel vs. Capcom games.
I feel like that's like the graveyard of Capcom IPs at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. Joe got to show up in Marvel vs. Capcom alongside bad box art Mega Man.
I forgot about him. My favorite character.
Joe is played by Tomokazu Seki, who we've talked about before, thanks to him playing Whisper in Yokai Watch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He was also Tracy in Pokemon. That's mainly what I know him for.
Ugh, who cares about Tracy?
When Tracy was part of Ash's main traveling group, I didn't care about him, but then once he left, every time he shows up again, I'm like, oh, it's quite nice to see him now.
It's my best friend Tracy, who I definitely didn't hate before.
Now that he's not replacing my best friend Brock, I do quite enjoy seeing it.
Is that what it is? It's just that he took Brock away from us?
Oh, 100%. That's the only reason I ever didn't like Tracy. In English, he's played by Jason Palmer, who played Heimerdinger in League of Legends, but only in the games, not in the Arcane TV series.
What a fun name.
He also played Dwyer in Fire Emblem Heroes. And he really drops the ball as Joe here, in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't care for him.
No, the dub of this show makes Joe extremely unlikable, in my opinion.
He just seems bored of everything.
Yes, that's how it comes across.
Check it out, it's the limited edition Captain Blue 25th anniversary action figure.
It feels like they saw Joe and they decided he should be like a stoner character.
Yeah, he's got them sleepy eyes.
Yeah, but it's so far from who Joe... In the games, Joe is played by Dee Bradley Baker. And he plays Joe with this, like, joy and wonder that really endears you to the character quickly. And you need to be endeared to the character quickly because he talks a lot. And if he's annoying, he's going to get on your nerves.
Then we've got a Bubsy scenario.
Yeah, exactly. He just has so much enthusiasm that it's hard to, like, not love him in the game. And in fact, when I was looking up reviews of this show, one of the biggest complaints that people had was that they didn't use Joe's voice from the game because people really liked the character in the game.
I mean, Joe's a big nerd. You want him to be enthusiastic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Dee Bradley Baker really gets the, like, genuine enthusiasm into his voice that just kind of, like, it just tickles you the right way whenever Joe's talking, I think.
Cool.
A real V-Watch! I always wanted to try one on!
And he also sells Joe's catchphrase, which is hard to do because it's a silly catchphrase.
What is his catchphrase?
Head to the go-go, baby!
Okay, that's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was his catchphrase. I've just heard it before, and it's kind of haunted me for about a decade.
Well, there you go, see? We've got Sylvia here as well, who is played by Natsuko Kuwatani in the Japanese version. She hadn't done much that I'd heard of, but she played Michelle in Escape from Bug Island.
Is that bad game that Ian played?
Yeah, it is.
I didn't think that anybody else in the world had played that game or worked on it. I thought it just existed in like a pocket realm that Ian had stumbled on.
Yeah, I think Ian is Brutal Moose, by the way. I've seen a few people play it, and I think it's kind of got a reputation for being one of the worst games on the Wii. But anyway, she also played Mikaya in the Fire Emblem series. And that's it. That's everything I was familiar with. The English voice is Phyllis Sampler, who I immediately recognized as the voice of Mimi from Digimon.
Joe, what if I just suddenly disappeared?
Oh yeah.
So we've talked about her before. She's alright, but this voice doesn't fit Sylvia at all. She's basically using the exact Mimi voice, and Sylvia is supposed to be more of a take charge, independent woman.
Mm-hmm.
And this voice didn't get that across at all.
Makes her seem a little meek.
Yeah. I think maybe they thought that's what Sylvia was based on the way things start out, because Sylvia does get captured at the beginning of Viewtiful Joe, and the first game is mostly about trying to rescue her. But then in all the other games, she's Joe's sidekick, Sexy Sylvia.
Sexy Sylvia!
Yeah, that's her name.
You can't just name yourself Sexy Sylvia!
They changed it for the dub of this show, so instead
Of course they did.
Instead they call her Go-Go Sylvia.
Like a go-go dancer?
I guess. It's especially funny because she's not particularly sexy. She's just called Sexy Sylvia. She's not wearing a revealing outfit or anything.
You just have to take her word for it.
Yeah. Like even her superhero outfit isn't particularly revealing. She's just called Sexy Sylvia. Sylvia wants them to be doing more romantic coupley things. But Joe wants to look at toys at the toy store. Joe's looking at a Captain Blue figure. And this is just to introduce us to Captain Blue and let us know that he's Joe's hero, basically.
That he's the superest dude to ever super.
Yeah. And he's a standard Kamen Rider type character, right?
Yeah, with a big pot belly.
Does he have... I don't think the figure has the pot belly.
No, the figure does not, but he sure does.
Yeah. Joe says that he's going to take Sylvia to a movie that she'll love. Based on having watched the Spanish dub, I think that Joe was being a lot more misleading about this in the English version than he was in the original. Because it sounded like in the Spanish version, which I'm assuming is a more accurate translation, he was being like fully honest about the movie. Everything he said about the movie was true. It's just that she misinterpreted it.
See, that's funnier.
It is funnier. The English version, he kind of lies a little bit about it. And it makes...
I don't know that he lies, but he sells it in a way that makes it sound like it's not a Kamen Rider superhero movie.
Yeah. It felt like he was being more manipulative about it. Whereas I think in the Spanish version, it just came across as him like not really... He just can't imagine a scenario where she won't enjoy this movie that he loves.
Yeah.
So she thinks that they're going to this... Because he points down the street towards a cinema that has a movie poster and a huge queue outside of it. She thinks they're going to that movie.
I have a lot of questions about this secret second cinema that they end up going to that's just airing this one movie.
I might be able to answer some of them.
Do it.
What are your questions?
Why is it? Why is it there? What is it?
So I don't know if it was planned from the beginning or anything, but in Viewtiful Joe 2, which picks up exactly where Viewtiful Joe 1 left off, it is revealed that this theater belongs to Joe's father.
Okay.
So this is like basically a screening specifically for Joe that his dad is doing.
And yet Sylvia doesn't know about this theater?
Yeah, I guess not. I don't know how long they're supposed to have been together. Or supposed to have known each other at this point.
Well, she has known him since at least the second grade, based on the English dub.
That line appears to only exist in the dub, though. She didn't say that in the Spanish version.
I had a feeling.
In the Spanish version, what she said was that her desk back home is covered in his Captain Blue figures.
See, that makes a lot more sense.
It makes sense with what we're shown, which is a desk covered in Captain Blue figures.
I mean, it makes sense in the context that you're dating a super nerd and suddenly your bedroom is covered in their nerdery.
Yeah. So yeah, they're at this rundown, empty theater with cracks in the walls, and there's no one else there to see this movie. And she's kind of bummed about it to begin with, but then she realizes that means that she's there alone with Joe, so it's maybe more romantic.
Yeah, empty theater. Think of the possibilities.
Nobody watching except your boyfriend's father in the projection room.
Or whatever weird goblin person he has up there. Employed only to run this one film for whenever Joe feels like coming to watch it.
Well, it seems like Joe hasn't seen it before.
Yeah, that's what makes it so weird.
But yeah, the part of the movie we see, Captain Blue is there. He's fighting Hulk Davidson in the movie.
What a good name.
Yeah, Hulk Davidson is the second boss of the game. He's a big green rhino man who rides a motorcycle.
I've seen him.
He also owns I believe it's a hotel.
Why a hotel?
I don't know, but you have to fight your way through the hotel up to his office at the top to fight him in the game.
Oh, Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, and his motorcycle's up there with him somehow. I don't know how he got it up there, but
Elevator.
I will always remember him because as you get close to his room, you can just hear him singing about himself in there. But it's the same short song just looping over and over again.
Good.
And like the first time I got there, I had no idea what was going on, and just every now and then you just hear Davison is in the house.
I love it. It's like Bender.
Yeah. So Captain Blue is played by Banjo Ginga, who we've talked about before. I knew I recognized the name.
Because it's an incredible name?
It's an incredible name, and he played customer service and Nightmare in the Kirby anime.
Oh, okay.
He's also the voice of Liquid Snake.
Ooh.
So that's pretty impressive.
That's pretty moist.
And in English, he's played by Bob Pappenbrook, who we've also talked about before because he played Greymon in the Digimon movie.
Oh.
We also see a little bit of Six Machine, although he's been renamed Robo 6 in the dub.
Yeah. Why?
I'm presuming it's because Six Machine sounds too much like Sex Machine.
It sure does sound a lot like that, doesn't it?
And I would not be surprised if he was called that specifically because it sounds like Sex Machine.
That's what I would guess.
Because that's the kind of thing Kamiya does. But yeah, Six Machine is Captain Blue's robot companion who later becomes Joe's vehicle, basically. He can transform into all kinds of different vehicles, and one of them is a giant robot.
An Optimus Prime.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, he can also become an airplane, a car, a spaceship, a submarine, and a giant robot.
But he's not a robot dog.
Maybe he could become one, though. Don't start comparing him to Rush. They're not in competition.
No, Rush would win every time.
Just because it's a red robot owned by a blue main character.
That can transform.
Yeah.
And is a mode of transportation.
Yeah. So the movie is reaching a climactic point. Six Machine is fighting some kind of giant other robot-looking thing. And Sylvia starts distracting Joe because she wants smooches.
But Joe is having none of it.
This is where the story of the game picks up. This is basically where the game begins, with her trying to smooch him while he's trying to watch the movie. Captain Blue's losing. He's losing the fight to a huge villain that calls itself Dark Sovereign in the dub. And Dark Sovereign starts yelling about how Jado is going to take over the world. Jado's the villain organization that you fight in Viewtiful Joe 1.
You say it calls itself Black Sovereign in the dub. What is it supposed to be?
This is why I'm not sure if it calls itself anything in the original, because in the game it doesn't. In the game we don't learn the name of the villain at this point, because the name of the villain is a huge spoiler.
Is it Captain Blue?
It's King Blue.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Spoilers for the game.
Oh man, I was just taking a shot in the dark.
Yeah. It turns out that the villain of the game is basically Captain Blue's sense of failure, I guess.
Oh.
And so, like, you are helped by the part of Captain Blue that is still good. There's more spoilers that I won't get into. So, you know, if you haven't played the game and I've just ruined that twist for you, there's still more to it that I haven't ruined.
There's more twists to untangle if you can dig up this 20-year-old game.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if the Japanese version gave him a different name than King Blue here, like the dub does, or if it just leaves him unnamed like the game did. There's no reason to name him here.
I would guess that they don't give him a name.
Yeah, I would guess that too. In the game, you don't learn his name until you confront him at the very end. And I've never seen that because I never got that far. Because it's really hard.
I didn't realize you never beat it.
I never beat the first one. I've beaten all the other Viewtiful Joe games, but the first one is so difficult. I've never made it past... I've never made it past Fire Leo. So
you want that easy version that they released in Japan only.
I do want that easy version. Captain Blue loses the fight, and Joe recognizes that this isn't how the story's supposed to go.
Despite never having seen the movie before?
I'm assuming he's like read synopsis on the internet and stuff.
What a loser.
He's all over the fan sites. You know he is.
He is. In the dub, he talks about it.
That's true, he does. Yeah. The villain of the movie briefly makes eye contact with him and he notices that happen. And I thought that was really cool. And then Sylvia, I think paying attention to the movie for the first time, suddenly thinks that something about it looks familiar and asks if she could have seen it before. And Joe says no. In the Spanish version, he specifically says that the movie was released in theaters the same year they were born. And then it never got a home release.
She could still have seen it.
She could. And this is foreshadowing. But the villain suddenly reaches out of the screen and grabs Sylvia and drags her into the movie. And Six Machine tries to stop him, but he gets punched out of the movie and lands in the theater with Joe.
Does he just live in the real world now?
No, he goes back in the movie. I don't know what happens to him. He just kind of vanishes for a while. That happens in the game too. Like in the game, the same thing happens. Six Machine picks Joe up and takes him into Movie Land, but then he just vanishes for a while.
He's got stuff to do.
I guess he does. Maybe he needed to recharge.
Is that a thing that happens?
No, not that I know of.
Okay.
But he is a robot. Yeah, I think Six Machine doesn't show up again until like chapter 4 in the game. I don't know, maybe he's just supposed to be around, but he's not mentioned.
He had to get caught up on his stories. He's busy.
Yeah. I'm trying to think when I think Six Machine next shows up when you have to get down into the ocean. And I can't remember if I think that's after you fight Grand Bruce.
You can't just be making up characters.
You saw Grand Bruce. He's in this episode.
That doesn't mean I know who he is.
He's the Shark Man.
Okay. I do know who he is.
So Sylvia all of a sudden is in in a cage dangling off the back of a motorbike belonging to Hulk Davidson. This part doesn't happen in the game. We actually don't see any of these bosses until you actually reach their boss room and fight them in the game, so...
Which I think makes sense, because it was a little bit ham-handed how it's introduced to us all at once.
It is strange that it was the Dark Sovereign that grabbed Sylvia, but then suddenly it's Hulk Davidson who has her.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really... That was a bit poorly defined, I thought. There's this transitional shot, right? Where Joe's brought into the movie and then he's just kind of like floating in this void while film reels pass by behind him.
Mm-hmm.
The original version of this shot is much longer. Joe spends a while just kind of spinning around looking at different film reels playing out behind him. All kinds of different movies passing through different eras. The dub just kind of makes an awkward cut straight from the beginning of that shot to the end of it. And just kind of hopes we won't notice. And I didn't at first. It wasn't until I saw what that scene was supposed to look like that the jump cut became really obvious. But it's kind of a shame. It's kind of a shame. It did go on for a while, but it was a nicely animated scene. It's a shame that the dub viewers don't get to see it.
I get that, but I understand why it was cut. If it's just a lot of spinning around, not moving the plot forward.
Yeah, well, it was to establish that he's going into movie land, but I feel like we get it anyway.
I feel like the fact that he went into the screen just kind of tells us enough.
Yeah, and then he finds himself falling into the wrecked city from the movie they were just watching.
We've all played Super Mario 64. We know that if you jump into a piece of media, you go to that world.
Yeah. So now this is where we go to Jado headquarters. And man, do I have a lot to say about this scene.
Me too, because I checked out.
I made an assumption about this scene that was probably an unfair assumption. I thought, as we were watching the beginning of it, I feel like the dub writers added some dialogue here that wasn't present in the original. Because it had the telltale signs of it, right? We've kind of learned to recognize these things. It's full of really bad jokes. The actors are rushing through their lines to squeeze them in. And the biggest sign, nobody's mouth is visible while they're talking.
They're all speaking off screen.
So I thought there probably wasn't quite as much dialogue here as there was in the original. Well, you know what, Mel?
What?
I was wrong.
Really?
In the original, there is no dialogue here.
Okay. That's where I thought that twist was going. You had me going for a second.
There's like a full minute of dialogue added purely for the dub, and it's all just inane banter.
It's awful. I hated that scene.
It's really bad. In fact, so in the original version, there is no dialogue in this scene until Hulk Davidson points the camera at his face and starts talking. When his mouth starts moving, that's the first line of dialogue in the scene. Now, for the audience, I am going to play the entire unedited sequence leading up to that. Now, bear in mind, what you're about to hear is entirely dialogue that didn't exist in the original version. In the original version, all that's playing here is ominous music. And I think you're going to be surprised at how long this dialogue goes on for.
And just the quality.
Yeah.
Welcome to Jado headquarters. Please state your name clearly and remain standing on the marked spot until biometric identification is complete.
Oh, please, this is so demeaning.
What? It's for security.
Security.
Well, we are trying to take over the world, mate.
But I'm a fearsome evildoer, not some clock-punching drone. Oh, very well. Charles III. Stupid smoke. This better be important. I was just having my ears starched.
Oh, quit your whining. If they called us, they need us. Grim Bruce.
Oh, Oh, must you be so uncouth?
Gee, I don't know, mate. Let me see.
Oh, you are such a peasant.
I'm the reason we're here.
Excellent. Are they firing you?
Just watch.
You got a pedicure?
What? No, wait, here it comes.
It's so bad.
Welcome back. In case you forgot while that was going on, welcome back to Super Breakfast Friends Club.
We missed you while you were being spirited away into that horrible pocket dimension.
While you were listening to a shark burp repeatedly.
Oh my god, I forgot! Why did you bring it back?
Like, none of that's in the original. Not even the voice at the beginning that's like telling them to wait while they're scanned. Because that's not a thing in the original. It's all just dialogue added for the dub.
That doesn't need to be there. It doesn't add anything.
All in the original, all that happens is that they step out of these glowing doors and a subtitle appears telling us their name. That's it.
A much more effective scene that's easier to watch with your eyeballs.
Yeah, and there's some ominous music because, you know, that lets us know that they're the bad guys.
Right.
So this is the scene where we're formally introduced to Charles III, the vampire bat, Gran Bruce, the shark with legs and arms, and Hulk Davidson, who we've already seen before.
But now we're formally introduced.
Yeah, now we know his name. These are the first three bosses of the game. In order, it's Charles III is the first boss, Hulk Davidson is the second, and Gran Bruce is the third. And they're great. I love them. They've got so much personality. That's the thing about this show. There are so many characters with so much personality in Viewtiful Joe that they didn't really need to add that many extra ones for the show.
Right. Like, you can tell by their character designs alone that there's going to be a lot going on with these guys.
Yeah.
And then they opened their mouths, and I hated them.
It's a shame because they're all, you know, like Joe, they're all quite lovable in the game and just detestable in the show.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the game, the only one I'm not particularly attached to is Charles III. He's all right. His only real personality trait is that he has a cough, I think, in the game. Gran Bruce is my favorite. He's just an idiot. Gran Bruce in the game constantly forgets what he's talking about mid-sentence and has to, like, think about it for a second.
But mate, you better not be thinking you can just hop on the long submarine and go straight to our hideout.
Wait. That sub goes to your hideout?
No, never mind, okay? But yeah.
Listen, that's relatable.
I know. You don't know how many times I've cut exactly that out of this show. So, Hulk Davidson is played by Akimitsu Takase, who we've heard before but didn't talk about. Because he played the president's butler in the Sonic OVA that we watched.
What a strange credit.
I know. He's also Kaiser in Naruto and Krei in Full Metal Alchemist. In English, Hulk is played by Jameson Price, who had an insanely long credits list. Almost 500 roles.
Jesus.
I mostly knew him as Junichiro in the Dot Hack Liminality OVAs. He also played Skull Satamon and Seraphimon in Digimon. And he took over as the voice of Angemon in Digimon Tri for the dub. He was Walter in Castlevania Lament of Innocence. Do you know that one?
That's one that I wanted to play, but I didn't have the system.
Ah, okay. Well, you would have known. Oh, here's one you will know, though. He was Jelly Jiggler.
Jelly Jiggler!
In Bo 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 Bo.
All right. He's in my good graces.
He also played Algol in Soul Calibur, and he's played Heihachi and Paul Phoenix in various Tekken games. And we've got Charles III. There's a lot of voice actors at this point. We've got Charles III, who's played by Mitsuru Ogata. The only thing that really stood out to me in his credits list was that he played the Dragonite that delivers the mail at the start of Mewtwo Strikes Back.
What?
Yeah. He was also Dr. Nakabachi in Steins Gate, which is something we'll look at some point.
Ooh.
And apparently he's the Japanese voice of Scrooge McDuck and Piglet in Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts specifically?
Yeah, I don't think he played them in anything else.
Dang.
In English, he's played by Terrence Stone, who played Eddie Brock in Ultimate Spider-Man, the game. And he played Trevor Belmont in Castlevania Curse of Darkness. Is that one you played?
No, I have not played that one.
Oh, okay.
What was that for?
I don't know.
Curse of Darkness. PlayStation 2, that's why.
Ah, okay, yeah. He also played Mayuri in Bleach and Zhao Yun in Dynasty Warriors. And then we've got Gran Bruce, my favorite of the three, who is played by Shoto Kashi in Japanese, who is known for playing Tonbo in Naruto and Marichio in Bleach. In English, he's played by Milton Lawrence, who hadn't really done that much that I'd heard of, but he did play the main character in Call of Cthulhu. I know you just said ooh, but it didn't pick it up at all.
Why?
I don't know.
Ugh, whatever.
Do it again.
I don't want to. The mood is gone.
But it's not going to be one for the show.
Well, tough titties for the show. Just put in a duck noise.
Okay, can you make one for me? Thanks.
You know I was hovering over it.
So the three of them argue about who's done the most for Jado's cause. And Charles shows off his battle wound, which is a band-aid on his head. That's a joke that does exist in both versions, but it's played off better in the original, I think.
Yeah, that one would be harder to fake for the dub because they had to actually animate him lifting up his hair.
Yeah, there's actually a visual joke to go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell with the English version they were worried that kids wouldn't understand, so they oversell the joke in the dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
The Japanese, the Spanish version, which I assume is accurate, makes it more subtle and, in my opinion, funnier. And this is where Sprocket shows up.
Oh, they didn't give her a name, did they?
Did they not?
Maybe they did. I don't know. I just didn't catch it. I was like, who is this random sexy lady?
Okay, well, yeah, this is Sprocket. She is the only character in this episode who was created for the show.
Oh.
So she's not in the game. She is played by Mayumi Asano. I was looking through what else she'd done, and the thing that I most knew was that she played Ziming in Shenmue 2.
Oh.
Ziming is Xu Ying's brother, but you only ever see him in flashbacks.
Is he died?
We don't know. Maybe we'll find out in Shenmue 4 if it ever happens.
It'll never happen. 20 years from now, maybe.
He's we know that he went off on a similar revenge quest to Rio after the same criminal organization. But then
maybe Shenmue 4 will be him.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if the setup is that he went off to fight this organization, but then he joined it and that's why he never came back.
Oh.
So I wonder if he'll be like somebody that you come across at some point in the story and fight. That's always been, ever since Shenmue 2 came out, that's always been what I have assumed it was leading up to. Because all you know about him is that he went off to fight the gang like 10 years ago or something and he never came back.
Mm-hmm.
So we're obviously to assume that he died, but I never assumed that they died. Show me a corpse or I don't believe it.
Show me a corpse or a ghost.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me speak to his ghost right now.
And she also played Haku in Naruto and Kurutsu in Ghost in the Shell. I don't know who they are.
Me neither.
In English, Sprocket is played by Wendy Lee, who has even more credits than that other guy. She's got over 600.
That's too many.
We've talked about her before because she played TK in Digimon.
Which one is that? Oh, wait, I remember. Never mind.
TK is the youngest one.
Yeah.
Takeru, with the silly green hat. She was also Faye Valentine in Cowboy Bebop and Athena in Ace Attorney. So she's done stuff.
Yeah. Those are some people.
Yeah. Sprocket has large breasts.
End of show.
I'm bringing this up because it's an important character quirk in the original version that has been cut from the dub.
I can't imagine why.
So in the original, her large breasts cause her jumpsuit to constantly unzip itself. So
Okay.
she is constantly zipping it back up.
I mean, that's just what happens in real life.
In the Spanish version, because it's uncut, we see this happen 3 times in this scene.
In this scene.
But all 3 of them have been cut from the dub. Apparently that's how the dub handles her throughout, which results in a drastic reduction of her screen time.
Poor Sprocket. Boobies too big for airtime.
Yeah, I think they possibly did some paint edits to make them smaller as well. I'm not sure. I know that's the treatment that Rouge got in Sonic X.
Mm-hmm.
This is where Alistair appears.
Yeah, it's the guy.
The Midnight Thunder Boy. That's his real title. I didn't make that up.
I had a feeling.
Alistair is my favorite, side character. He's Joe's rival, and he's the only boss that you fight in every game in the series. He's also the only boss that you fight twice in the first game, because he's both the 4th boss and the 5th boss of Viewtiful Joe 1.
He just couldn't get enough.
He couldn't. He is played by Shinichiro Miki, who we've talked about recently, because he played Akira in Virtua Fighter.
I thought that name sounded familiar.
Yeah, he's the guy who also played James in Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
And still plays... Oh, no! I guess James isn't in Pokemon anymore. I forgot.
Yeah, now there's no reason to watch anymore.
No, why would I?
There's no James, there's no Brock.
Yeah, well, Brock's been gone for a while now. But now there's not even Pikachu. I mean, there's a Pikachu, but it's not
We don't
the
trust
Pikachu.
him.
I don't trust Captain Pikachu.
Mm-mm.
What's next? Detective Pikachu? Oh.
I don't trust him either.
I do trust Detective Pikachu. I'm going to hire him to investigate Captain Pikachu.
He's a detective, not a PI.
That's the same thing in my book.
Yeah, but we also play fast and loose with those rules.
Also, Pokemon has taught me that a PI and a gambler are the same thing, so...
Well...
Pokemon in jokes! Right, Pokemon fans?
has its own censorship problems.
Alistair is played by Milton Lawrence in English. Same guy who's playing Grand Bruce. He got 2 paychecks.
Wow.
He probably
did. If only that were how it worked.
He probably got one.
Got half of one.
And Fire Leo also shows up. Fire Leo being the 5th boss. You fight him in the game at the end of a boss rush where you have to refight all the other ones.
I hate those.
I never made it past the Fire Leo fight. It's too hard.
I hate a boss rush unless it's optional.
Yeah, same. Or unless the bosses were really fun.
Yeah.
I don't mind the Wind Waker boss rush because it's fun. Those are fun fights with good music.
That's true.
Especially Molgera. It's the best song in the game.
Well, now I have to look it up because I can't. There's a song that's playing in my head right now, and I don't know if that's the one.
It's the one that goes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the one.
That's the
I don't know
Molgera.
how I remember that.
Because it's the best song in the game.
I haven't played that game in like 10 years.
It's great. You should play it again.
I'd have to dig up my GameCube. I don't know where it is.
So Fire Leo is played by Yoji Ueda, who played Paz in Ghost in the Shell, and Gamakichi in Naruto, and Keiji Maeda in Samurai Warriors, and I don't know who any of those people are.
Me neither. If it's not the Naruto, I don't know who the Narutos are.
Nope. I know Naruto and I know Sakura, and the only other Naruto character that I know is Bleach.
My favorite character.
I was trying to think of a name from like any other anime and I couldn't think of one. I really wanted to say a character from the wrong show. Luffy! I should have said Luffy. Oh well.
Too late.
In English, Fire Leo is played by Jonathan Lippo, who played Willump in League of Legends.
Willump!
And Asta in Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. He plays the Iron Giant in Multiverses.
Cool.
And he played Wrecking Ball in Overwatch. I'm pretty sure that's the hamster.
I'll take your word for it. I don't know a whole lot about Overwatch.
Me neither. Maybe we'll do some of the shorts for the short version of this show if we ever do it.
Don't we both have Overwatch and we just never played it?
I've played it a few times. But it wasn't Team Fortress.
No, nothing can ever be Team Fortress, including Team Fortress.
No, and the thing with Overwatch is, like Team Fortress, I was drawn to it by its animated shorts. But the Team Fortress animated shorts are really funny, and the Overwatch ones are too hammy for me.
Oh no.
They're trying too hard to... There's the one about the robot, Bastion, I think his name is, which is really good. And then all of the others are like trying to reach that same emotional zenith, but it feels way more forced. Each time it's more forced. So I don't know, it just felt very hallmarky in a way that...
I know exactly what that means.
Yeah, it was... I just couldn't get into it. Sorry, Overwatch. I know your animators work real hard and the stuff you make is real pretty, but maybe
you have a word with your writers.
Yeah, trying too hard to artificially tug my heartstrings, in my opinion.
You know I don't have heartstrings.
It's so, like, getting me to cry at a movie is like getting a dog to beg for a slice of pizza.
It's very easy.
It's very easy. But I think Overwatch kind of made me realize that it's not as easy as I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying too hard to get me emotional, it's not going to work. You have to sell it.
Yeah.
You have to know when to rein it in. If you're trying too hard, I'm just going to sit and think, they're trying too hard.
I feel them trying to make me feel something, and therefore I'm shutting it all down.
Yeah. I have to really be invested to feel something. And
yeah.
I don't think like 3 minutes short is enough time to get me that invested.
I feel like I've probably watched something that accomplished it, but it's real difficult.
I've definitely watched... Like, Pixar have made shorts that have accomplished it, I'm sure. I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Well, like, not even a short, but infamously, the intro to Up.
Yeah, there you go. That did it. I think the problem is that the Overwatch shorts try too hard to do it with words.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really more of a show don't tell guy.
If you're gonna try and make someone feel with words, it takes a lot of words, and it takes a lot of very specific words, so it's hard to do succinctly.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway. Oh, no, go ahead.
Phoenix Wright 2, the final case.
Oh my god, yeah. That is the most emotional any Ace Attorney game ever got me. None of the others reached quite that height. Phoenix Wright 3 came close. The end of Phoenix Wright 3 came close to getting me that emotional.
Yeah, but it's hard to top what they did in 2.
Absolutely. I was like, I couldn't put that game down.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to know what happened to Maya.
If I stop playing, then Maya's gonna die.
Yeah, and then Gumshoe gets in a car crash.
I forgot about that. Edgeworth, who is presumed to be dead the whole game, shows up.
God, I love Ace Attorney.
It's so good.
Where were we?
Viewtiful Joe and Sprocket's big boobies.
We've basically been introduced to all of the bosses here except for the final one, which in the game you meet them as you meet them. You never encounter them in a cutscene. I don't think you see any cutscenes that aren't from Joe's perspective in the game, so we're not introduced to the bosses this soon.
Yeah, we're not sent to this otherworldly dimension to see through someone else's eyes.
Yeah, exactly. But the voice of their boss shouts down something at them. I don't remember what it was. And Sprocket said that she's going to send a squad of Bianchis to fight Joe. And then we go back to Joe, and the Bianchis show up.
Yeah.
I love the Bianchis.
I don't know how to feel about them.
They're so dumb. We only see the most basic kind of Bianchis here. I hope that more Bianchis will show up over the course of the show. Basically, every enemy you fight is a Bianchi, but they come in all kinds of different forms. One of my favorites are the ballerina ones.
It sounds graceful.
They just get close to you and start twirling, and you have to figure out whether they're going to do a lower or a higher attack and then dodge it to make them dizzy.
That's fun.
They're great. The Bianchis in general are just really fun. Because they're robots, when you defeat them, they explode into parts. Like gears fly everywhere and stuff. Mm-hmm. I felt it wasn't super clear that they're robots in this show.
It's not. I had no idea.
No, but I assume it will be clear later on. But we don't see any Bianchis explode in this episode. Also, another thing in the game, like, as you beat them up, parts of their casing fall off, revealing the, like, robotic parts underneath, which is cool.
Yeah, but he didn't really beat anybody up in this episode.
Not really. He fights them a bit. He mostly does, like, judo throws and stuff.
Yeah, and they're fine.
I was surprised at how good he is at fighting them.
Yeah. It was giving me some serious Akira from Virtua Fighter vibes, where suddenly this random man is real good at fighting stuff.
Yeah, that's not how it goes in the game. In the game, you're kind of useless at fighting until you get your V-Watch.
Which makes sense.
But he seems to be holding his own here, even as Movie Fan Joe, which is what this form is called. But then Joker shows up. Or Jokester, as he's called in the dub. I don't know if they were worried DC Comics would sue them or something.
I just thought it was the Phantom of the Opera.
Though Joker is a recurring mini-boss in the game. I think you fight him once in each stage. And then once you defeat him, you get a token for his slot machine. And you play Joker's slot machine.
What does that get you?
It depends what you land on. Sometimes you get a cheeseburger.
Just imagine a soggy cheeseburger coming out of a slot machine.
Yeah. I would love that.
You don't know how long it's been in there. It sludges out half rotten.
I'm pretty sure that Joker doesn't talk in the game. If he does, I can't, like, picture his voice with my mind's ear. He has a voice here, and I could not find out who played him.
Maybe it was a hallucination we all had.
Maybe. He's not listed in the credits, whoever it was. If anyone out there knows who played Joker, please tell me. Or Jokester, sorry.
If anyone out there was Jokester, keep your secrets.
So Joe falls off the building, but he gets saved at the last minute by the spirit of Captain Blue, who begins to mentor him in the ways of having a watch on. It's still not picking up your laughs.
That was a good one. That was a big one.
That's why it didn't pick it up, probably.
But it's no louder than me screaming into my microphone about Jelly Jiggler.
I don't know, then. It's definitely, this episode, it's going to seem like you didn't like any of my jokes.
I didn't. That's the real secret. I haven't laughed once.
Yeah, this is basically how the tutorials play out in the game. everything gets enveloped in a glow, and then Joe looks up and the spirit of Captain Blue tells him about a new move he just learned. Pot belly and everything.
Good.
That's all from the game.
That's the only Captain Blue that I accept.
Captain Blue gives Joe a V-Watch. And here's a question I have. I'm wondering about whether this was a dub edit. Because Captain Blue tells him to say Henshin a go-go to transform.
All you need to remember is when the light on your V-Watch starts to glow, just call out like this. Henshin a go-go!
Henshin a go-go, baby!
Uh-huh.
In the game, he just tells Joe to say Henshin, and it's Joe who adds the a go-go baby to the end of it.
When the V-Watch starts to glow, say the word Henshin!
Henshin a go-go, baby!
That's like part of Joe, because Joe's very individualistic. So part of it is he can't just say Captain Blue's catchphrase. He has to add something to it to make it his own. And it's endearing. And like I said before, it would just be stupid if it weren't for how much Dee Bradley Baker sells it.
Right.
But I don't know. In this version, Captain Blue straight up tells him to add the a-go-go part.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
It is a little weird. I don't know if that was a dub edit or not. In the Spanish version, he just says transform, which is what Henshin means.
Yeah.
I think they maybe translated it a little too literally.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, I mean, why not? There's another edit here, another censorship edit made here.
Do we get to see Joe's butt?
No. So Joe, another individualistic thing that Joe does is that whenever he does his Henshin transformation, he makes a specific hand signal. And it's supposed to look like a V and a J. But basically, you can try this with your own hand, everyone at home. If you look at your hand, and if you imagine all 5 digits of your hand are numbered from 1 to 5, and you just want to lower the even numbered ones and leave the odd numbered ones up, that's the hand signal that Joe does.
Okay.
For the dub, they've removed the middle finger from it. And I assume that's to distance it further from the offensive gesture. But I feel like the other 2 raised fingers already do that.
When it comes to hand signs, nothing is safe.
God, imagine if you had to remove the middle finger from every gesture. You know how some people do like a 2-finger point because a single finger point is offensive in some cultures? Like, there's no safe way to do it then.
No.
Because if you remove the middle finger from that, it's straight back to the offensive single finger point.
Maybe we all just have to point with our entire hand, like a flipper.
Can we? Can we
as the culture start?
Can we just fuse all our fingers together and have flippers?
That would be great. We could go flop around with the seals.
Yeah. I want to swim better.
Well, you'll certainly swim better, but it won't help you breathe better.
I won't need to breathe for so long if I can swim faster. Anyway.
Flipper hands.
Joe does his Henshin transformation, and he becomes Viewtiful Joe, except he's not called that yet.
Doesn't he call himself Awesome Joe or something?
Yeah, in the dub he tries out Awesome Joe, but he doesn't like the sound of it. In the Spanish version he tries out Captain Joe, but doesn't like the sound of it. I'm assuming Captain Joe is closer to what the original did.
Probably just taking it from Captain Blue.
Yeah, it makes sense, because he just got the V-Watch from Captain Blue, so...
Mm-hmm.
Joe actually doesn't get his name until about halfway through the game. Because it's...
Is there a reason it's Viewtiful?
I mean, like, in-universe, or...
Yeah, in-universe.
In-universe, it's because Alistair... When you defeat Alistair comments on how beautiful your moves are. And I think Joe mishears it as Viewtiful and then takes that as his name.
Okay.
So Alistair is the one who names him, basically.
His arch enemy?
Yeah. Well, I think they're like frenemies by the end of the series.
Still, I wouldn't trust you to name me, and you shouldn't trust me either. We're in the same boat.
Yeah. I think it's Viewtiful Joe out of universe because in Japan, beautiful and Viewtiful are pronounced identically, and you're like viewing him because he's in a movie, I guess.
That's a stretch, but I believe it.
Because they pronounce V's as B's in Japanese generally, don't they?
Yeah.
You do get a taste of... Because the whole point of Viewtiful Joe is that it's a game based around having a very flowing fight style that would be fun to watch even if you weren't playing. And I think we get a taste of that here. I think they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, he does some good fighting. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, he's got his flowing Sakura cape and the art style. They're really selling the art style here. So Joker falls off the building like Joe did earlier, and Joe, chasing him, trips on a Bianchi. So Joker, in the dub, starts calling him Stumblebutt Joe. In Spanish, it was just Clumsy Joe. I'm willing to bet that's what the original did too.
This is the one time I'm gonna side with the dub.
Yeah, it's alright. You just like hearing the word butt.
Exactly. It's just stupid enough that it's something I would call somebody.
Yeah. So Joker escapes, but Joe spots Hulk and Sylvia passing by on the motorcycle. I don't know why he's still here.
Yeah, he's been on his bike for a while. I don't know why he hasn't made better time.
He's just been doing donuts in the parking lot.
Probably.
Honestly, I wouldn't put that past him. Here is where we got the only joke in the show that I thought was funny, where as Hulk is driving away with Sylvia, she calls out to Joe,
Oh, Joe, you came to rescue me! Joe, please hurry! I really have to go to the bathroom!
Don't worry, Sylvia!
Yeah.
Now that is in character for Game Sylvia, so I'm wondering if that was a joke that they lifted straight from the original, but I'm not sure.
Maybe.
I hope so. On the one hand, I hope that joke existed in the original. On the other hand, if it did, then it's the one joke that I want to give the dub credit for.
Right.
But like if it's just a joke that they were given by the Japanese version, then I'm like, oh man, couldn't even get that one.
You added all these burping sharks, but you couldn't even come up with a bathroom joke?
Well, anyway, that's the end.
That's the end.
That's how it finishes. And then we have the credits, which uses And You by Saga, just like the original did.
Pretty good. I liked it.
They've shortened the hell out of it, though. The credits blow by so fast. It's only 30 seconds of credits.
Yeah, I was not expecting it to have already ended.
No, we get to hear more of the song in the Japanese version. Yeah, and that's it. Oh, another thing, the Spanish version included the preview of next episode as well.
Yeah, I was expecting a preview.
Yeah, well, we've gotten so used to that from anime, haven't we?
Yeah.
But no, the English version cuts it. But it was still there in the Spanish version, so we are told...
We didn't have time for the preview because we had to watch those guys dick around for a minute.
But that took up the same amount of time. It's not like they extended the scene. They just filled it with inane dialogue.
That's true. Then I don't know what their excuse is.
The excuse is that they wanted to show more commercials, I would think.
Yeah.
So the preview tells us that next time Joe will be learning to use his VFX powers. So I guess if we come back and watch episode 2, we'll get to see some of him using his actual powers instead of just doing punchy kicks.
But we'll have to come back and watch the dub.
Yeah, well, unless someone out there finds the Japanese version before then, please.
We're begging you.
Also,
save us.
There's a shot in the preview of a castle, which I'm going to assume is Charles III's castle, which is where most of the first chapter takes place in the game.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
The end.
You want to hear about Legacy?
Is it Sprocket?
It's Sprocket!
Wow!
It's not just Sprocket. The game Viewtiful Joe Red Hot Rumble basically combines all the elements of the games and the anime into one big shared universe. So Sprocket's in there as a playable character, no less.
Ooh.
Because Red Hot Rumble is basically Smash Brothers, but with entirely Viewtiful Joe characters.
Right.
So you can play as all the bosses, you can play as Sylvia and Captain Blue and Alistair. You can play as Grand Bruce.
And why would you not want to?
I think in the PSP version, you can even unlock Joker and play as him. But the thing about Red Hot Rumble is, it's got the cast of the anime, it's got the characters of the anime, but it's got the cast of the games, the voice cast.
Oh.
So we actually get to see anime Viewtiful Joe with Dee Bradley Baker doing the voice. And it also has a bunch of unlockable movies of stuff from the anime. This is actually where I found the songs originally, because there are 2 of the saga songs are included in the extras with music videos made up of clips from the anime. That's how I found out the anime existed.
That's a deep cut.
Yeah. So I don't know if they ever brought Viewtiful Joe back now. I wonder if the anime cast would come along with it. Because there's only a couple extra characters from the anime, but I thought they were pretty decent additions.
Perhaps they will.
Sprocket is fine, and there's also another character called Captain Blue Jr. who hasn't showed up yet. But he basically becomes Joe's kid sidekick.
He's featured a lot in the intro.
He is, yeah. Yeah, he's anime exclusive. Well, anime and Red Hot Rumble exclusive. But I guess the idea was, since Joe is on his own for most of the first game, they wanted to add somebody for him to talk to. I don't know how necessary Captain Blue Jr. becomes when they start adapting the second game, because Sylvia's with him for the whole game in the second one, but...
Maybe he just works off screen.
Maybe. So what did you think?
I didn't really care for the dub. I feel like it would be a lot better if it was translated better.
Yeah. But, did this get you interested in the world of Viewtiful Joe?
You talking about it did. You actually talking about how the game is good and the characters are better in it did.
Okay.
If I were just left to watch the show, I would probably not be that interested in it.
I think that's fair. I really wish we could see the Japanese version, because I assume it's better. I want to see Shinichiro Miki playing Alistair. I love that guy's voice. Really, though, this is another case where I would probably rather replay the games than watch the rest of the show.
Right.
Same kind of deal we had with Ace Attorney, where I'm like, well, that was fine, and it was a pretty decent... this is a decent adaptation. From what we see here, all the scenes that were from the game were very accurate, and it's just that extra context has been added, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Sprocket could easily have been in the game, but since she's more of an administrator, you wouldn't really come across her as Joe, probably.
Yeah.
And I think I read that the character designs for Sprocket and Captain Blue Jr. were by the game team. They were provided to the anime studio by the game designers, so that's probably why they look like they fit in.
Yeah. I liked them. You didn't really get to see a lot of Captain Blue Jr., but
No,
I liked what I saw.
We'll definitely come back at some point and look at the episode that introduces Captain Blue Jr., I think. Because usually I try and prioritize episodes that introduce new characters, but everyone was introduced here.
Yeah.
We don't need to come back and see Grand Bruce being introduced, because he was introduced here. But maybe we'll come back and look at the one where Joe actually meets Grand Bruce or something. And there's still a lot of There's still a lot of Viewtiful Joe 2 characters as well who haven't been introduced because they didn't exist yet.
Right. So you did mention that this covers part of 2.
Yeah. It covers all of 2, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think it makes it to the end. But Viewtiful Joe 2 has some of the best characters, I think. It's got Big John, who I showed you.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of my
looking at him right
favorites.
now.
Yeah. It's also got Cameo Leon, who I love. He's a chameleon. And
I think I saw him too.
And it's got Bloody Rachel, who's she's one of the most interesting characters, I think.
It's got a strange name, but...
Yeah, I wonder if they called her Bloody Rachel. Oh no, come to think of it, none of the episodes with Bloody Rachel were ever dubbed, so I guess they wouldn't have had to worry about it. I was going to say, I wonder if they renamed her for the dub, but she never made it into the dub. And I know the second half of the anime does have Jet as well, which is Joe's dad. So I went and looked up. I wanted to know which characters from the second game actually appeared in it. I don't think anybody from Double Trouble ever appears in the show. So we don't get Joe's sister or his mom, because they're both in Double Trouble. But,
darn, my favorite characters.
His sister's pretty cool. At least I think she was. It's been a long time since I played Double Trouble. I should play it again. Because that was a DS one.
Mm.
It would be near impossible to port to anything because it was so heavily reliant on touchscreen controls, and they're not really a thing anyone's doing anymore.
No. People weren't even really doing it then.
Yeah. It was the kind of touchscreen game where you have to use your fingers because you have to use all the buttons on the console and the touchscreen. So you don't have time to grab the stylus before you need to do something. So you really have to just mash your fingers against the touchscreen. Get it all greasy.
I mean, that was like playing Monster Hunter, where you had the camera controls on the bottom and you just smudge your greasy finger across it.
See, I didn't have that problem because I had the new 3DS, so I had the tiny little nipple stick to control the camera.
Stick.
Yeah.
See, I wasn't a bougie bitch. I didn't have that one.
I know. I didn't even realize you were doing it with the touchscreen.
Like an animal. Like a primitive beast.
That was Capcom too.
Thanks, Capcom, for smudging my touchscreen.
Man, I'm thinking about it, and most of my favorite franchises are Sega or Nintendo. But Capcom is a real close contender. They have a lot of stuff that I love.
Yeah, they've got some good hits.
The problem is that Capcom just aren't doing stuff with most of them.
Yeah.
We get Street Fighter and we get Monhun, and then that's it. Where's my Ace Attorney? Where's my Viewtiful Joe? Where's my Mega Man even?
They did at least give us Spirit of Justice, even though that was already 6 years ago now.
I know. Where's Zack and Wiki, Capcom?
Dead.
Bring back Zack and Wiki.
No one is asking for that.
I am. I just did. I want Zack and Wiki. What's the other one? I want that other one that I don't remember the name of, Capcom. I don't remember the name of it, and I never played it. I just bought it.
So you own it?
I own it, but I never played it. You know why? Because the whole game's based around multiplayer, and I never had anyone to play it with.
Oh.
What was it called? It was on the Wii. I'm looking it up. Spyborgs. Thanks, Walmart. Spyborgs was the one.
What is it?
It's like a Streets of Rage-y game, I think.
Okay.
It looked fun, and I bought it.
Viewtiful Joe.
Viewtiful Joe. You know what? I think we're done, right?
Yeah, we got the legacy out of the way, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Red Hot Rumble is the only legacy because the series stopped existing after Red Hot Rumble.
Yeah.
And now there's no legacy of Viewtiful Joe in general. We're just to pretend that it never happened.
But he's still trapped in the movie world.
He is. He actually is. The last thing that happened in the Viewtiful Joe franchise is that Joe defeated the villain of Viewtiful Joe 2, and then a huge dark castle rose up out of the ground, And
Dracula!
And somebody said, that's the prophecy. Bad things always come in threes. That's why it's a trilogy. And then Joe's getting ready to go into this castle to face the final trial of his trilogy. And then Viewtiful Joe 3 never came out.
Well, that's because Viewtiful Joe 3 is actually a Castlevania game.
I'd be okay with it. Just put Joe in a Castlevania game.
Yeah, I'd play it.
Me too. All right, thanks for joining us, everyone. If you'd like to throw some money in our faces and call us little bitches, head to patreon.com/Super Breakfast Friends Club.
You don't have to call us bitches, but it might help us accept it easier.
Thank you to Jamie Core, our lone patron.
Our best patron.
Lone and best.
Best friend.
Yeah. Thanks, Jamie. We love you.
Your support means the world to us.
If anybody else would like to be showered with our praise, go and join Jamie at the place where the cool kids are.
They've got their own special chair. You could go sit next to them and find out what's up.
Yeah. Maybe share a couple of snacks. We won't provide those.
But feel free to sneak them past the security.
Yeah, what do you think this is? Super Popcorn Friends Club?
No, those guys are too bougie. But then again, you'd get along with them, nipple stick.
Fuck you. Anything else?
What about our coffee?
What about it?
Don't say it like that.
Our coffee coffers are full of mothers.
Coffee coffers. Our Starbucks cup remains empty of loose change.
But you can send by us a coffee if you want. I don't drink coffee, but Mel does.
I drink a lot of coffee. Or I could turn it into matcha.
Find me on the internet at Skull Pirate Mike. I'm all over the place.
Stinking up the internet.
Probably leaving Twitter since it's becoming more and more clear that it has become a psyop.
It's an inhospitable wasteland.
Yeah. It's a Russian plant now.
What?
Oh yeah, did you not know?
I don't keep up with that nonsense.
Elon Musk's ties to Russia are coming more and more to the forefront.
Oh, good.
Bye.
So we're going to have to cut out about an hour of that episode to just rambling, wishing death threats upon Elon Musk.
We don't have to cut that.